Now, I'm coming out with a new product. I know you guys are shocked that I'm coming out with a new product. But I went to get the final editing done, and the person who did the recording with me did some heavy breathing. I don't mean heavy breathing because they were very excited. Heavy breathing because they didn't know how to control their breathing. And so I have 6 half-hour recordings that need editing, and I got someone on Scriptland. I could do the editing. It's pretty simple. It's just going to take me time. I found someone to edit 6 recordings for $40 total. Not a piece, total. So just gives you the idea that how inexpensive this is. When you have your product either in SoundForge or Audacity or GarageBand, you want the finished product in an MP3 format. That is the universal format today for audio, and people want that so they can get it on their iPods or MP3 players. No other format really matters today. Any thoughts on that, Jim?
Absolutely correct.
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So now let's go from audio to video production. Here, you need a decent video. Jim, what camera did you use
I used something called a Kodak Z18. Costs $100. It produces in high def and a beautiful little machine.
I have one of those. I always have one. I always have it with me, and it is a really, really good camera. I have much better cameras than that, but that little camera will do a heck of a job. We'll be posting this on the forum so that you'll know what to get, but the Kodak little, what is it, IZ8 or ZI8 is a really great camera, and it's not expensive at all. If you want to give yourself a Christmas or Hanukkah present, that would be the one to do it. You also want to have a good microphone for this. And here, especially if you're doing a wireless microphone, the better the microphone, the better the production. If you're indoors, Jim, did you use an external mic on those, or did you just use the mic itself?
I never use the interior mic. It's like using the mic on your computer. It's just not good. I used a very inexpensive Sony wireless mic, and sounds good.
Okay. Now, for doing video production, if you're on a PC, there are there are really other choices, but the 2 most popular choices, they're really versions of the same thing. It's Sony Movie Studio, which is a very inexpensive program. I believe it's under $100. They try and keep it under $100. And Sony Vegas. Sony Vegas is probably up to version 10 by now. And Sony Movie Studio is actually Sony Vegas version 4. They've done some updating to it, but essentially it's an older version of the same program. Trust me that virtually for every single person in Beach Millions, Sony Movie Studio will do just fine for you. You'll be able to do some amazing stuff with it. If you're on a Mac, you're really in luck because you have 2 amazing choices. iMovie is a program that comes with the computer. It is a fantastic program. They just came out with iMovie version 11. Let me tell you that iMovie is simple to learn, simple to use, and most people would probably never outgrow iMovie. On the other hand, Final Cut, there are two versions of Final Cut, Final Cut Express and Final Cut Studio or Final Cut Pro. Those are serious programs, and there's a very steep learning curve. iMovie, your learning curve may be a day. Final Cut, think learning curve in terms of weeks or months. All of the pros use either Vegas or Final Cut, or there are some Adobe Premiere, is it?
That's correct.
Okay, or Adobe Premiere, but that's pretty much it. I would feel very comfortable if you're on a PC, you're using one of those Sony products, or if you're on a Mac, you will do more than get by on iMovie. You will do spectacular with just iMovie. Then, once you have your video edited, on Sony, you're going to use a product called Sony DVD Architect. And I see that I've spelled it incorrectly here.
That's the German spelling.
There we go. Now it's spelled correctly. And if you're on a Mac, you're going to want to use iDVD. I have to tell you that having been on both PC and Mac, video production on a Mac is much simpler. iDVD was really something that I had not used before. I went into the local Apple store. They explained it to me within 3 to 5 minutes, and that was all I did. I produced the DVDs, and they are just an amazing quality production with menus and sub-menus, and this is from somebody who spent 3 minutes learning the system. So, again, if somebody wants to give you a gift, a good Apple computer or a good Apple laptop is a wonderful gift. And remember, the gifts you give yourself are the most meaningful. So keep that in mind. But if you have a good PC, it'll do just fine. Don't run out. If finances are an issue, do not think that you need to run out and get a Mac. It's just not true. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. And here, you need to, without confusing you, there are different video formats. One popular format is called Flash. Those files end as .flv files. Most of the videos that are on the forum are .flv files. Virtually every program can see them, except our good friend Steve Jobs at Apple absolutely hates Flash format, and so the iPod and the iPad cannot view those files. And so that's why right now the MPEG-4 is probably the better format, because those can be seen on iPods, iPhones, and iPads. Coming soon is something that's called HTML5, and that's the wave of the future, and hopefully those will make some standardization so that you can see them everywhere. Now, this is about as complicated as we're going to get here. It's just that there are different formats. Right now, if you need to choose a format, just get in touch with me and I'll walk you through it. This is not designed to make you crazy. If at all possible, you want to make sure that you are using video that can be read by the iPad and the iPhone and products similar to that. If you are creating any kind of a video that is of any real length or lots of content, the equivalent of several DVDs, you want to host your video on a video hosting service. Now, I had a video server that I was paying $200 a month, plus usage fees. And then Amazon came out with its hosting product, and that is called Amazon S3. It's very inexpensive video hosting, and but Amazon S3 was written for programmers, and so another company came along and said, okay, this is that's too complex for normal people, so they created a product called Easy S3, and they walk you through it. Because I am very simple-minded, we use Amazon Easy S3 for all of our videos, and I recommend it highly. We'll put this on the forum as well. Of course, you'll get access to this. Okay, Jim, would you walk us through this slide where we talk about publishing your product digital versus physical? What are the differences that we need to keep in mind?
Okay, well, let's look at digital publishing. There's instant, on the points on the left there, there's instant delivery and instant gratification. Your clients get it right away, right now. They push a button, put their credit card number in, and it absolutely happens. There's a slightly lower perceived value. There still is a perception, in many cases, not all cases, where a digital product is of less value and more ephemeral. Because I put down here, getting affiliates is slightly easier, and that's an important element. The reason has nothing to do with digital or physical, other than the top affiliates, the super affiliate people, have grown up as selling digital products, so they're more familiar with it. But that is a real concern. When I say higher returns, what I mean is it's easier for someone to buy it, look at the first 5 minutes and say, oops, sorry, I don't like this, and ask for a return. And I think there's absolutely no question that if you're in the Beach Millions program and you're creating some kind of books, you absolutely should have digital download, whether you have a PDF book or I'll talk about Amazon later on, but it's absolutely still the best. A physical product has some real advantages. The disadvantage, of course, is that it takes a little time to get to the person through the mail, but there is a higher perceived value. You can sell a set of DVDs for a much higher price in most cases than you can a digital download. Publish on demand is now amazingly cheap. You talked about seeing the sort of little mini fulfillment warehouses I had in our dining room area and also in the hypnosis centers. Nowadays, you can get a DVD made or a CD for $1. If you ever had to, in the old days when we had to hire people or do it ourselves, it was much better. So publishing on demand through Kanaki or through Amazon or through any of the other sources that they are is absolutely amazing, and it just astounds me. Fulfillment through Kanaki or through Amazon or through other sources can be 100% outsourced. And I'll tell you, and Harlan, you know this, digital downloads, anybody who thinks a digital download is just set it and forget it is wrong. People get confused, their internet server stutters, and they don't get the whole file downloaded.
They lose their logins, they forget their passwords.
They forget their password, they don't really know how to do a download in the first place, or they download it and can't find it on their computer.
I can't tell you how many times that I've gotten questions where they don't know how to get it onto their iPod, and it becomes my responsibility to teach them how to use iTunes.
Yes, so there is digital download on the left side there has some real customer service issues that you would think, oh, just push the button, they get it. Not so. Whereas if you've got a good outsourcing company that'll ship the DVDs, in many respects, the customer service elements are less and easier than they are with anything else. And of course, many markets, especially people over the age of 40 or so, still have a love of the physical object. They want to hold the book in their hand or the DVD or put a disc in their in their thing, or even some real old folks guys talk about getting VHS tapes from Dan Kennedy and such. So many markets still do like the physical objects too.
Okay. And again, the older the person, they want to have the actual product in their hands. Jim, should I shock people by telling them something that they're probably not aware of?
I think you should absolutely shock us all, yes.
Okay. Well, Jim knows this, but the number of people who actually consume, that means watch your product, use your product, or open your CDs or DVDs is actually quite small. The majority of people buy your product and probably never, ever remove the shrink wrap. I'll say that again. I'm guessing that probably 50 to 60% of the people will never even take the shrink wrap off your product. They buy it and then they never use it. So don't be surprised. Sometimes you'll get returns for a product and they're still in their original shrink wrap. They were never opened. It happens. It's not a reflection on you or your product in any way, shape, or form. Okay, now let's see. Can I go to the next slide through this format? Can't do it that way. Okay, well, we tried. Okay. Okay, Jim, tell me about my product getting stolen.
Okay, there. I was going to suggest making your window a little wider. Good. The truth about publishing your product online or even offline is nowadays everything will be stolen. 100% of all decent products will show up somewhere on BitTorrent or some of these other places where smart people know how to steal it and send it around. You should and could protect your products. There are services to do it, or you can sell it through a service or install things. Get your webmaster to install things on your website. But essentially, all you're doing is stopping it from being real easy. But the good news is, and you know this, even Harlan's products, if you look on the second or third page of Google, there's all kinds of places where you can get the products absolutely free, but they're kind of a hassle. They're not good. And the good news is, the bad news is everyone will steal it. The good news is it doesn't really hurt your business that much. In some ways, having lots of torrents around just gets your name out, and your products still sell very well.
Now, sometimes, by the way, that when you see a product, let's go to Beach Millions. And we're Googling Beach Millions DVDs. And, okay, so we see here for Beach Millions that you can go here and you can get Beach Millions Kilstein free download. There's a reason we're doing this. And you see that you can get Beach Millions free downloads. Well, what about if I want to get the amazing Jim Millions product? Let's see. Do they have the Jim Millions product? You know, I'm in luck. They have Jim Millions. What these sites are doing is they're getting the names of products that people are searching for, and they are pretending to have the products so that they can get you to subscribe. Very often you'll get all upset that you'll see one of your products is available and it's really not there.
Congratulations, you won.
I won. Thank you. I had no idea that I won. I was no longer even in the contest. So I won millions. Just one last point. So you should not get all upset when you see that your product appears here. It may not be. It's just trying to fool people out of their credit card. And you can see I won millions is available as well. So sometimes privacy isn't as bad as it seems. Okay, Kunaki.com. If you're doing audio CDs or DVDs, you may want to consider Kunaki. And the reason you may want to consider Kunaki is because of their low prices. They produce and ship CDs and DVDs. You can get the artwork done by somebody on Scriptlance or a graphic designer. You upload the art, you upload the product. Here's the bad news: if you're a Mac person, it has to be uploaded from a PC. You cannot upload it from a Mac. And furthermore, you cannot upload it on a wireless connection. They want you directly plugged into the internet to make sure that they don't get errors. Kunaki is dirt cheap. I believe a CD, a DVD is about $1.50.
$1, Harlan. $1.
$1? Oh, that's in bulk.
Okay, they're both $1. Yeah.
I think the prices are a little higher. And CDs are about $1.85. You can so there's a huge markup possible. If you consider that one of my products is the Physiology of Excellence, it's a great product. I get that produced with Kunaki. Kunaki produces the DVD, the multicolor case, the multicolor disc, and includes an insert. It costs me under $2, and I sell that for $97. So I don't have people writing to me and saying, you know, I should be charging $5 for it. People pay, as we said at the beginning, according to the value. Now, Kunaki does not produce sets. It only produces single items. So, for example, in the Beach Millions set, you got 4 separate DVDs, and you got 4 separate DVDs, and you got a separate CD. But you could not get, from Kunaki, you could not get a single case holding all of the products. That's not the way they do business. Kunaki will either ship it for you, and many of the shopping carts interface with Kunaki. So, for example, if you use Nanocast, you actually, when someone orders, they can notify Kunaki at the same time that there has been an order, and you don't have to do anything. It's just automatically